The Vancouver Canucks win Game 5 at home after Rick Tocchet calls out players for being passengers. There were no passengers in this game. The Canucks penalty kill came up huge against the Edmonton Oilers power play merchants. We'll get into this later on this episode. Before we start, I just want to say to thousands of you watching that aren't subscribed, if you're enjoying this Canucks content and you never want to miss another episode, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. We're all season long giving you updates from the Vancouver Canucks. But with that, let's hop straight into the first topic today, which is Canucks win Game 5. Now, obviously, if you were watching this game, I'm sure most people that are watching this video did watch the game, but the Vancouver Canucks dominated the Edmonton Oilers, and honestly, they almost got goalie. The Canucks won the shot totals 35-23. Face-offs, they had 57%. You can just go down this, that the Canucks dominated. In hits alone, they had double the hits. They looked outstanding, and just going into it, the second period was the turning point. I mean, we've seen the Vancouver Canucks outshoot the Oilers 17-4, which was a huge momentum shift, and something the Canucks kind of struggle with the entire postseason, and that was the leading in shots, but they really took the lead in this matter. When you do look at the game, obviously Carson Soucy scored. PDG coming back, getting that dad strength, scoring the go-ahead goal, the game-tying goal in the second period. Then we see J.T. Miller score the game-winning goal with almost 30 seconds left, assisted by Elias Lindholm and Elias Pettersson. And talking about Pettersson, the missing person, we found him. He finally showed up. And just, Griffin, what's your thoughts on Pettersson coming back, looking outstanding, PDG getting back into the lineup after having a birth of a child, having that dad strength, and just what's your thoughts on this game?
Well, I think first of all, I owe PDG an apology. I initially thought a few games ago that he was a scratch, but indeed he was for the birth of his child. Congrats on him on the baby and for getting the goal, which was a big goal. It was awesome to see. It was one that he didn't even know how it happened almost in his presser, and it was one of those turning points in the game where he did that spin move, and it was just like, whoa, okay, we got more life now going, and it was just sustained through that. PD played great. He was coming up big in the key moments, especially near the end there with that diving play on the puck near the blue line. And of course, the kick that went off the pad to set Miller up for the goal. That was awesome to see. Petey was after it. He got a lot of shot attempts and a lot of pucks on net. Everyone did really, but he was really starting to get back into the Petey that we know and love, and that we have loved for years and all season. And we're ready to see him get back into his stride. It's going to be awesome to see what he can carry into game six. And it was awesome to see the fans behind him and his teammates really rally behind him and just give him the support that he needs. And this new line is looking like it might be a good one to stay.
Yeah, no, the biggest thing is, too, and just talking about how loud the fans were. At the end of the game, when there was less than 5 seconds left, no one heard the whistle go on how loud the stadium was. It was just electric. Everyone was fired up with that. And it kind of gets into the fact that there were no passengers. And we've seen Rick Tocchet coming out of game 4 just expressing that the Canucks had 5 to 6 guys that just felt like passengers. And going into this game, we've seen the line changes. Everything looked a little weird. But then we've seen the Canucks come in and absolutely dominate. And in my opinion, and I know, Griffin, you feel the same way, there weren't any passengers. I mean, you look at this Canucks team, there was only 2 players that did not record a shot on goal. Teddy Blueger, which we will touch on now in a second, and Amon. The big thing with Teddy Blueger is this line that a lot of people I've seen on social media kind of worried with the Teddy Blueger line. I thought that line looked great. Obviously, Blueger was a -1. He didn't get any points, but when you look at the advanced stats on Money Puck or any websites like this, Teddy Blueger, Dakota Joshua, and Connor Garland had some of their best productive stretches of this season when they played together. And just what's your thoughts on the no passengers this game?
It was great to see everyone get involved. Like you said, only 2 skaters didn't have a shot on net. Every defender got involved getting a shot on net, and it was awesome to see that everyone carried their weight. And like you said, even with Blueger not getting a shot on net, he still played a solid game. And that line has had great chemistry all year. We know that Garland and Joshua are the Batman and Robin of this team. And then Blueger being the center of that, winning the faceoffs and setting things up has been the glue for that. And it was great to see everyone get, as much as it was nice to see everyone get involved, there was people that we didn't expect to see get involved that were, and those were the ones that were the most surprising. We knew the top 6 were going to show up, but it was those bottom 6 guys that really showed up when it mattered and getting involved and getting the goals, especially with Di Giuseppe, and seeing how these third and fourth lines are starting to really find their groove. And now we're seeing that Vancouver depth that we've been used to seeing all season as well.
Yeah, because Tocchet really spoke going into the postseason, just saying how just depth wins. He wanted to roll out four lines he was comfortable with, and in my opinion, this was the most dominant four lines we've seen. Like I said, or well, you said, sorry, the top six looked great, but we really did see that bottom six click. And on the defensive end, yes, Ian Cole is a guy that we do need to touch on. Maybe he comes in next game, maybe he doesn't. But overall, these defensemen played great. We're seeing shots from the point. We've seen the Carson Soucy goal. That was something that the Canucks really needed, was more scoring, more offense coming from the back end. The three stars of the game were Elias Pettersson. J.T. Miller was number one, Elias Pettersson two, and Quinn Hughes was the third star of the game. But just overall, this team looked outstanding. And the biggest part of this that I know a lot of people haven't really talked about was the penalty kill comes up huge. Starting off, we did talk about how the Merchants in Edmonton really dominate the power play, but for the first time these playoffs, the Edmonton Oilers didn't score at least one power play goal. They went 0 for 5. 35 shots for the Canucks, most in any game this postseason. Previous high was 29. Just holding McDavid and Draisaitl to 4 total shots on goal. What was your thoughts on the penalty kill?
Penalty kill was great. I know we stressed on enough that Vancouver has to stay out of the box, but doesn't seem like that's going to be happening. So if you can't stay out of the box, you might as well be efficient on the penalty kill. And they showed up tonight. They really flipped the script in that sense as far as going from a 50-50 penalty kill to really starting to win that penalty kill war again. And like you said, like going 0 for 5, like that was a big thing for Vancouver coming to this because for a lot of the games this postseason and this series, especially whenever Edmonton goes on the power play, you're thinking, well, might as well put a goal on the board. But tonight, that was not the case. Anytime a Vancouver fan was thinking that would be the case, it was put to rest after 2 stressful minutes. There was a few of the calls that were a little questionable. We're going to touch on that later. But for the most part, the Vancouver Canucks were able to kill off those penalties very efficiently. They showed no signs of breaking, and we've seen how throughout the series they've been able to hold up decently well on the penalty, but they aren't closing out those power plays. They're not finishing them within the last 10 seconds or the last 30 seconds. And we really saw them play from the beginning to the end of the penalty kill, and that was where the real difference was for them.
Yeah, because I know we kind of talked about it going into this game as well. They're so lethal on the power play, obviously this being the Edmonton Oilers. And the big thing is Draisaitl has 23, 24, 25 points in the playoffs. 3 of these are at even strength. The rest is on the power play. Like I said, these guys are merchants. Obviously, they're great players, but they feed families on this power play. So holding them off or keeping them 0 for 5 is what was the key to success in this win. I know you kind of brought it up just a second ago with the charging call that was called on PD. At first, I was ready to throw a beer at my TV, let alone everyone in the stadium throwing beer on the ice. But as you can see, Elliot Friedman said the charging rule 42.1 in the NHL rulebook, a minor or major penalty shall be imposed on a player who skates, jumps into, or charges an opponent in any manner. Shout out to Ron McLean that kind of just shed light on this, and Elliot Friedman shared it. Obviously, we've seen Nick Cromwell do this entirety of his career, but the big thing with this is, and the reason why I didn't think this was a charging, PD was the one getting hit. Yes, he left his skates, but he was the one taken. If you played NHL at all, you know the back at you build where you throw back the hit. But this is what it looked like of PD just trying to get out of the way, just hold his own. And what was your thoughts on this charging call?
Yeah, it was a pretty controversial call. I think everyone at first glance was really scratching their heads. Everyone just watching it, the millions of viewers watching it, except Edmonton fans who might have thought, hey, we got away with one, but who cares? Everyone else was thinking, what were the refs thinking? It is in the rule book, so you can't really go against it. So it was a penalty. However, the way it happened, it was just in a big key moment in the way that there was a delay afterwards with the fans throwing the beer on the ice. You got to love the passion, but at the same time, that felt like a real buzzkill moment in the game. Felt like the game took a long time to get going after that happened, and it just felt like Vancouver took a long time to get their legs back underneath them, and Edmonton was trying to capitalize on it. Thankfully, Vancouver was great defensively tonight, played really great shutdown defense, so they were able to kind of ward off that attack a little bit longer until they found that momentum again. But once they found that momentum again, they were really barreling, they were really attacking, and Edmonton, for once in this playoffs, Edmonton was really playing from behind as far as offensively, and it was nice to see them on their toes. And they almost beat us at our own game, which was a little scary at first because there was no way Edmonton was going to beat us with only just over 20 shots on the board. But we were able to still pull out the victory and beat them at their own game, which was even better.
And the big thing is, like we were saying about throwing the bear, I don't condone this at all. I'm sure both of us don't. Obviously, it kills the momentum. But the big thing is just killing those or penalty kills. The biggest thing, if they ended up scoring on this, the Canucks were down 3-2 at this point if Edmonton did capitalize. So it's nice that they were able to hold their composure. Obviously, a bad call. We've seen Gary Bettman probably pay all the money that Utah give him for the expansion to the referees to kind of sway this in Edmonton's favor. Overall, it was a great game. I mean, Pickard was almost the best player in this game. He was outstanding. He stood on and said, we will give him his flowers on top of that. But what was your guys' thoughts on this game? Let us know down in the comments. And with that, we'll get into everyone's favorite topic, which is comment of the day. And the comment of the day comes from Moonlight Metal Drama. He says, the podcast skates around the big question: do you move Petey? Do you cut back his ice team? Honestly, no, not at all. We've seen people want to move guys like J.T. Miller, Garland in the past season. What happened? They kept him and they were outstanding. Petey was in a rough stretch. Yes, he wasn't playing with the best line mates. He's still young. He has so much potential. He is one of the top players on this team, if not the top player at his top of his game. And what's your thoughts on this?
You're absolutely right there. I think it would have been a mistake to bench him or move him to a further down line. I think keeping him in that top six, he is a top six player. And that also goes to show how much of a great coach Rick Tocchet is. He wasn't throwing his team under the bus. He was holding them accountable. There's a fine line, and Tocchet rides that line perfectly, and he goes on the accountability line more often than not, and as well as the honesty line. He's a stand-up guy. That's why he is going to win the Jack Adams this year, is because he is that coach who has turned it around for players like JT Miller, like Brock Boeser, brought Connor Garland in there, and he is the thing that has changed this culture. And when Pettersson hit his slump, if it was any other coach, who knows if he would have made that adjustment, if he would have been called out even for it. So to see him really show up in this game with the fans behind him and Tocchet really pushing him to be the best version of himself, that's everything you want in a coach, and that's everything you want out of your star player.
And listen, I don't want to talk about the Boston Bruins. No one likes the Boston Bruins that's watching this video, especially fans of the Vancouver Canucks. But Jim Montgomery did the same thing. He called out Pasta, said he wasn't stepping up. Guess what he did? He scored the OT winner to send the Boston Bruins to the second round. We seen Tocchet do the exact same thing. Petey stepped up. JT Miller stepped up. The rest is history. Game 6, the Vancouver Canucks, or Game 5, the Vancouver Canucks win. They're going into Game 6. What's your guys' thoughts on this game? Let us know down in the comments. You could be featured on the next episode of Canucks Digest. While you're down there, make sure to like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We're so close to 2,000 subscribers. If you want to try to get us to that by round 3, do that down in the description down there. But with that, I've been your host, Mark, with my co-host, Griffin. Take care.